do you find any time the word corporate culture? I always thought it was a buzzword of HR departments. I never understood the meaning of corporate culture. What does actually corporate culture mean from a tangible point of view? Because especially when today we are working in a hybrid module, you find 20 people working remotely, you have 15, 20 people working in one facility. I mean, in having this whole company together working in a hybrid module, how does corporate culture be relevant?
Mm.
Especially you come sometimes twice, maybe 2 hours or 3 hours a day, you finish your work and move out.
Mhm.
How does it remain relevant?
Yes. So I am lucky, Peter, in that I have been able to work for 5 of the world's most admired companies, meaning they have achieved things that is really hard to achieve. And despite that, every one of these 5 organizations have have been fundamentally different to one another. And what is interesting to me is the fact that 4 out of the 5 were the number 2 player locally or worldwide next to the direct competitor. So when I was working for Adidas, Nike was the number 1 leader in the world.
Yeah.
When I moved from Adidas to General Electric, depending on which segment of the General Electric you took apart, let's say the industrial division, Siemens was the number 1 in board and they were the number 2. When I then moved on to British American Tobacco, Philip Morris was the number 1 player in the world. And from there on, Roche didn't really count. But when I moved to Vodafone, in every country that Vodafone was operating, there was another player that was typically the number 1. And so the only thing that really combines those or unites those organization cultures was the fact that they are the up-and-coming champion. They want to punch their weight above to take over that number 1 spot. Other than that, every single one of these corporate organizational cultures were fundamentally different. If I wanted to give a very simple idea around what it was like to be part of Adidas, it was all about the team and winning as a team. Adidas, unlike Nike, decided that they wanted to be the best friend or supporter of an athlete, no matter what sports discipline you are active in. If you're a wrestler or you're a rower, you would find gear from Adidas. Whereas if you look at how Nike grew to what they became today, they only focus on the top 20 sports categories in the world. Why would they waste their R&D and marketing and sales and product design and all these other resources on categories that make very little money? If I wanted to use the example of GE, it was all about we are the kings of the world and we're going to show it to everyone. GE often entered markets as a no-name and then rose to the number 1, number 2 spot. So they were very arrogant in many ways.
It's a tone.
But also very American in many ways. When I look at what it was like to work for BAT, you literally could take blood samples of our employees and sell it in drugstores because it was such a vibrant, highly engaged employee organization. It was such a nice, engaged organization. And they were really big on doing the right thing, meaning not going after every market share. I mean, it's a very controversial product and it's a product that is forbidden in many parts of the world to be sold openly on display and so on. But really, they really were in this responsibility part of the business, and they really believed in what we called at the time the winning organization. So building an organization and culture that helps you win in the marketplace. And believe it or not, Peter, they actually achieved that a few years ago. To my own surprise, they became the number 1 company in the world because they made a huge acquisition in the US. They bought a company called Reynolds American. So every single organizational culture is different. And despite that, there are some aspects of that culture that may work for you, or there are aspects of the culture that may work against you.
I remember I seen one interview of Steve Jobs, and he says that the culture of the company is that we have small startups in a big company. So if you have every product, maybe there's an Apple phone, there's an iPad, or there's a MacBook. We have small teams that actually make sure that this product is the best, and this is the culture around them, and they work on making it the best. And there's a common resource that we leave to them, and this is the culture, I think. and beautifully explained of how they were the best.
Yes.
Especially when they had grouped these things as small startups in a big company.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think he also had the famous words, be foolish, be hungry.
Yeah, be
Yeah.
foolish, be hungry.
Yeah.
You explained about clarity of role. What do you mean clarity of role, especially in a transition phase?
So one of the many instruments I use as a
And the follow-up question would be
Sure.
that, is this clarity of role measurable with ROI?
Of course.
Because this is something that, you have
Sure.
transitioned the CEO and now he's
Mhm.
he's the captain of the ship.
Yes.
So we have leveraged a lot on his knowledge and what he's going to bring to the table. So I want to understand that, is it measurable in terms of ROI?
Sure.